everyone, it's Sarah again, and I welcome you to another episode of Unheard Voices. This series is something that I'm doing as a passion project while I myself am in self-quarantine. I needed something to do. I'm gonna tell the stories of a lot of people who have been affected by this whole pandemonium. You don't have to have contracted the virus to have been affected by it. In this episode, we're gonna take a look at two individuals who flew from the US to Asia during the height of the coronavirus. Yes, that's beginning of February into January, that whole time when the whole thing had exploded. We're gonna look at Laurel, who I've actually been friends with since high school. I've known her for a really long time. She flew from the US to Beijing, as well as my friend Angeline, who I've known for a while now too, from New York City. She went to Singapore. They document their process. They talk about what it was like, and how were their travels to Asia. Did they have conflicts? Were there any new like security checks? I wanna let you guys know, give you some travel advice, and also showcase how differently the countries are combating this whole crisis. Singapore and Beijing. These two, they're very different. How? Let's see.
My name is Laurel. I'm from Oceanside, California, but I've been living in Beijing for 3 years now.
Hi, my name is Angeline, and I am currently in Singapore right now. This is the first time I've actually left my house since I got back last week. I am an actress, soon-to-be showrunner, on and off trumpet player.
I work as a drama teacher, which is really fulfilling. The kids here are really great. Life is pretty easy. During January, I was in America. I was visiting my family in Orlando, Florida. That's when the coronavirus outbreak was announced. That's when it happened.
Before I boarded my flight, a lot of people were freaking out for me, saying that, you know, oh my goodness, like you should be very careful, you don't want to be on a plane right now. If you're a frequent flyer like myself, you would know that the air filtration system on flights are actually very similar to the ones that you got at the surgical operating theaters. What they promise is that the air replenishes itself, and it's supposed to be 99.97% free of viruses. So the only way for you to get infected is that if you're sitting very close to a person that's infected, which was how SARS spreaded in Singapore. But people were very chill. I'm at the airport. No one was wearing masks. I flew out of Newark. No one was sanitizing their hands like crazy. This guy even made fun of me for bringing a whole box of surgical masks up the flight. But you know, I did isolate myself, and then I sanitized my hands as often as possible. If you want to travel, if you have to travel, just make sure that you isolate yourself on the flight, sanitize your hands, and if a person is sick, try to change seats.
The morning that I went to the airport to go back to China, I was admittedly a little bit nervous. Honestly, I never thought I would get the virus, and I don't think anyone I've seen has the virus. I was more worried about customs, immigration, issues on the airplane. I didn't have a mask. I tried to find masks, but they were already sold out everywhere in America. And when I got to the boarding gate, every Chinese person was wearing a mask. And there were hardly any foreigners like me. I will say I've flown back and forth from China to America a ton of times, and the planes are always completely packed. This time, empty. When the plane landed in Beijing, I started getting even more nervous because I still don't have a mask. And from everything I was reading online and seeing rumors is that, oh, you must have a mask or you will be stopped, you will be put into quarantine. But that wasn't the case. I got off the plane. Whenever you go to immigration in the Beijing Capital Airport, if you're a foreigner, you have to scan your passport, do a fingerprint, and then you usually go stand in line. This time there was an additional form and an additional checkpoint to go through. The extra form was about your health. They just wanted to know, do you have a fever? Have you felt sick? Have you been coughing? The most striking thing on the form was, have you been to Wuhan? Have you been to Hubei province? I got my fingerprints, and then I made it to the new checkpoint, the temperature checking checkpoint. Yeah, I just went straight through. It's normal at the Beijing Capital Airport to stand in line for 30 minutes to get through immigration. This time, I was one of 3 foreigners, and so I went through immediately. I was a little lost at first. They were very forgiving with me. They were very kind to let me go in and go back, but they were a little more strict with the Chinese citizens. But that's just a reality of living in China as a foreigner. Unfortunately, we do still have privilege here. Security guards, police officers, whoever, they're a little more kind to foreigners, especially if they assume that you may be American. And then with the local people, they're very blunt, very straightforward, but nothing unusual. I didn't see anything unusual this time. And absolutely everyone is wearing a mask except for me. So I felt a little nervous. I was advised to do a 14-day quarantine. I'm officially under 14-day quarantine. Not enforced by anyone, you know, but it's advised that I stay home for 14 days.
We're here in Singapore and this is the mall right now. It's kind of like quiet.
It's not, she's lying.
She thinks it's not quiet, but I don't know what this is, but
Like a narrow lane.
I think life is still the same. Everyone's pretty chill. She says nobody has to wear a mask in Singapore. Unless
This
you're
crazy
sick.
person wears a mask.
I think the streets are pretty. It's still busy. It's still really busy in Singapore. I think people are still going out on the daily. Buses are still running. You know, I mean, construction is still going on. People are still out and about. Yeah, the kids over there not wearing any masks.
Crazy person in my car.
Oh, stop.
Wearing a mask in my
I
own
think
car.
public transportation is really running very smoothly. Like nothing has been interrupted much actually.
You need a mask wherever you go, but masks are not the easiest thing to come by. You can buy them in the store. They are rationing them. The price is raised. The government isn't providing masks. I think they don't even have enough masks for the hospital. You know, we have to buy our own masks. I don't expect anything different. I have enough masks, it's fine. They do take your temperature everywhere you go. When you come back to your community, they take your temperature. Outside the mall in Sanlitun, they took my temperature. And everything's okay. The essentials are still open. A lot of the places have signs on the front window that say, we're open from this hour to this hour and you cannot come in without a mask. The mask grants you access everywhere. For a lot of foreigners and expats, there is no work. Most university students are being told to stay outside of China and could be punished if they come back. So that's a little scary. I'm lucky my company is going to pay me part of my salary because I'm doing some work from home, but I can't teach drama from home. For some people, maybe they've lost their job. A lot of these small companies, maybe small English training centers, things like that, they're closing. I don't know many foreigners who have decided to never come back. It's their livelihood. This is our home.
We normally have a lot of people swimming on the weekends, but the pools, I mean, there's a couple of people, but it's like super empty. Super empty.
This is a really challenging time for China. I find a lot of comfort in statistics. Today, when I'm filming this, it's February 25th. In China, there are 508 new infections, but 499 of them are within Wuhan. We are taking it seriously and we are protecting ourselves, but life doesn't stop. People are working again, businesses are opening, life is going back to normal, but we're still cautious.
I would just say that being back for a week and a half, just kind of observing, I think Singaporeans are pretty chill about the whole situation, because I know there was like a little panic, but it's, you know, I think the government has done a really good job calming the country. Our Prime Minister's speech actually became kind of viral, so I really respect that. And I think during times like this, I really do appreciate being back in Singapore. So what's happening now is that my cousin, one of the doctors that's currently in one of the hospitals where 2 children were warded for COVID, but they have now been discharged. She told me that she's getting free food, and there's a company called Grab that we have in Singapore. It's like Uber. They have, some of the drivers have volunteered to ferry them back and forth from their place to the hospital. And then there's this whole system now where if you have respiratory symptoms, you get to go to a doctor. There's like a flat rate where, I think depending on your age, I'm pretty sure most people know in Asia, the elderly are taken care of really well. If you're older, the flat rate's like $5. I mean, if you're younger, it's like $10 just to see a doctor if you're having any of that symptom. I think the government has done such a great job during a time like this. And it's something that I really miss, being away for so long. I'm going to go into town right now, and I mean, I heard people still going out. Like, there was literally traffic.
No matter what your opinion is of China, I believe that the government doesn't want people to die. I hope that the world can have compassion for China and all of the other countries that are dealing with this virus. It's not a Chinese thing. It can affect people all over the world. And I just hope the world can have a little more empathy and compassion for people that are suffering. I hope that people are reasonable and they try to find true information and they stop sensationalizing what it's really like. I'm not under forceful quarantine. My life is relatively normal. I'm with every other person in China that is acknowledging that this is a problem. We are making changes to our lifestyle, and it is working. And if other countries that are facing this pandemic can follow suit, I have 100% faith that this virus can be contained, and as we develop more vaccinations and we research and we find out more, hopefully it can be eradicated soon.
Thank you so much for watching another episode of Unheard Voices. I think it's very important to hear different stories and understand different viewpoints because everyone's experiences are unique to oneself. Doesn't matter what city, country, or continent you're from, everyone is unique. I hope that you guys all know, and I'm sure you do, the media works for you. Fact check everything. Don't believe everything you read. Not everything on the internet is fact. We all know that. I hope to see you again next week. Love, Sarah.